This is kind of
This
what
is
it looks
exactly what the Wolfpack looks like.
like. Usually
Usually
it's on
trying to troubleshoot something as well.
yeah, it's on Zoom and there's a lot more issues going on or lot more people involved. So we're gonna Ed, you texting him or calling him? No.
Yeah, I was gonna try. I don't know if it's
texted
gonna
him.
log me out on my phone.
I just texted him. Don't
Okay.
worry.
Okay.
Did everybody get their free coffee for National Coffee Day?
I don't drink coffee.
Me either.
What?
Yeah.
Who's doing it? Dunkin' Donuts? Ash?
I have no idea. I'm probably going to stop at Starbucks on the way to work. So,
Nope. I've talked about this before, but if my wife drinks coffee, usually she has to brush her teeth before I'll kiss her. Like I hate the smell. It just smells like something burning. Like oh, but
it definitely like isn't the most pleasant breath. So,
but
Y'all
even
have
like
Wawa
even
down-
when it's brewing, so I don't
Y'all
know.
have Wawa down in your area?
nope.
I believe Wawa
We
was
have
doing
Buc-ee's though. Like that's the thing.
I believe Wawa was doing a free coffee for school employees
Oh, that's nice.
for the month.
All right. Well, you guys want to just get started with or without Tom,
Sure.
Yeah.
and then hopefully
Yeah.
hopefully
He
he'll
hasn't
jump in.
responded to me.
Okay. All right. So here we go in 3, 2, 1. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Sports Medicine Broadcast, a podcast to promote and improve your practice as an athletic trainer. So with what started off as a way to connect some lonely athletic trainers during COVID has grown into like a community that's thriving on Zoom calls. So Tom was supposed to be on here. He was kind of we'll talk about how it got started there. But Tom, Ed, Paul, and Ashley are going to discuss like how they kind of grown the Wolfpack and just out of genuine conversations. Like if you're watching the Facebook or YouTube live, when it first started, we were working on tech issues or talking about coffee, how we, some of us like it or don't like it, that kind of thing. And it's pretty cool. It's like just a no agenda group of athletic trainers hanging out, talking, and we're going to just discuss how to join, what it looks like, and things like that. So this is sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/ATWolfapck. And of course, I am Jeremy Jackson, the host of the Sports Medicine Broadcast. So again, sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/ATWolfapck. So if you want to join, here's the quick and easy link. If this is all you came for, was go to sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/join the Wolfpack. Put in all your credit card information. Make sure you join the email list. And is that how that works, Ed? No?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. No, actually, but if you do go to sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/join the Wolfpack, that is the link to join. And so it's an easy way. You can go to sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/join the Wolfpack, and the link is already available if you want to go there, check that out, join, and go from there. But we'll discuss when, where, how, why to join and all that stuff as well. So one of the questions that I wanted to start with was Tom has been like in the Discord talking about these late night Zoom calls with Mark and some other people. That seems a little weird. I don't know, but we'll talk about that with Tom later. So Ashley, why don't you start with us? Just tell us, give us a quick intro. You're over at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, your years experience and stuff like that. So go ahead.
So my name's Ashley Armbruster. I'm originally from Florida. I did my undergrad at University of Florida. And then I am also a Texas athletic trainer with Jeremy. I currently work, this is my second year at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, working with women's soccer.
All right. And then right next to her, if you're watching live, is Ed. Ed is going to have to say his last name because most people can't pronounce it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm Um,
Wait, did
born
you
and raised.
wait? Did you say your last name? It froze.
Wozniakevich.
Wozniakevich. See, and even the computer didn't want you to say it.
Apple Max can't handle me. So, no, I was born and raised in Massachusetts. I work up in Vermont. I'm in my 9th year at Castleton University.
And then right next to Ed in the live video, we have Paul. Paul, welcome.
Morning. I'm Paul Rupp. I actually grew up in southern New York State and managed to work my way down to Northern Virginia, where I've been at Oakton High School for 26 years now. Oh, I'm sorry, 21 years now. I'm rushing things along. 21 years at Oakton High School.
Are you looking to retire?
With all this going on in the country, yes.
So obviously right now, as we're recording this, I mentioned earlier it was born out of COVID and athletic trainers wanting to find a place to talk. So if you listen to this sometime later, that's kind of what Paul is talking about there. All right. So today is Tuesday when we're recording this. Tuesday, Thursdays right now are when you have your Zoom call. I think it usually starts about 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So that may be 4 o'clock if you're in California or 7 o'clock if you're out on the East Coast. So if someone joins that call tonight, what are they going to be expecting, Paul?
That's an unanswerable question. What should they expect? It's a unique group of people that can turn any conversation into any other conversation, where we could start talking about ankle sprains, turn ankle sprains into barbecue, turn that into whiskey, turn that into concussions, and then back into ankle sprains, all within a half an hour.
Yeah. Sounds about right. So there's definitely almost always some sort of alcohol involved in the discussion, usually wine or whiskey, whatever it is, whatever you're drinking. I don't drink alcohol, so I'm usually like silent on those parts because I'm like, I don't know.
You and me both.
Yeah. So, but it's fun to join in those conversations and share. So, Ashley, what do you think? If someone was going to join, what would be your take?
My take would be we are very unique in that we have a very diverse group of athletic trainers. First off, like we have people like Paul who have 20 plus years of experience that they bring. And then we also have people who are GAs, people who are in undergrad or in their MAT program. We even, for a while, we have had a couple like high school athletic training student aides that wanted to pursue athletic training. So first off, we have a very diverse group of people. Some people work in high school, some people work in outreach, some people work at universities, like literally every setting you can think of. We even had Larry Heck for a little bit.
Don't forget Carlos.
From the WWE, we have Carlos who works in the MLB leagues. So we have such a diverse group of people, and usually on the Zoom calls, there's between 15, sometimes we get up to 25 people that are just on Zoom. And like Paul said, we literally talk about anything. Sometimes we'll just start off like complaining about, oh, we had this bad day or we had this bad injury. And then like the conversation just keeps evolving. And definitely the first time it can be a little intimidating, especially if you are a little more soft-spoken. I'm definitely not one of those people, so I fit right in. But it's just one of those, like, feel free to say whatever you want. Like, feel free to jump into the conversation. Like, we even have the chat going as well, so people will like put stuff in there and we'll kind of comment on it. But like Paul said, like, you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes they last for 2 hours. Sometimes we'll be up until 2 or 3 in the morning just because we keep finding new topics to talk about. So yeah, that's pretty much like, you never know what you're going to expect, and that's part of the fun of it. But a lot of athletic trainers, we're just looking to socialize with people who understand the things that we go through, and we're looking for people to bounce ideas off of. So it's a really great group because you have every single angle that you could ever imagine, just like in this one group for a couple hours.
So I mentioned the sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/join the Wolfpack. That's to join the Discord. And so in the Discord, that has like the links to the Zoom, because I think it's a different Zoom link every week or every time. And so if you go to that, you're not going to jump right into a Zoom call. You're not going to go to a Zoom call by clicking on that. It's going to take you to the Discord so you can join that. And then It may take you, if you never use Discord, it may take you a second to figure that out, how to get to the links, but it's pretty simple. Or you could always just type in, hey, how do I do this? And somebody will answer you.
Mhm.
Yeah. So as you're talking about the chat, that's normally how I interact, is through the chat, because I'm not like so outspoken, and I feel like for me, I am back at work. I am married and I have 4 kids at home. So I'm not one that's needing to talk to somebody or needing somebody to talk to me. So I'm just kind of there chilling, observing a lot of the time. But it's definitely an opportunity if you like to talk, which some people, like Ashley said, do like to talk a lot. And that's perfect. That's what it's there for. So Ed, the origin, as much as you can remember, talk about the very beginning.
So it really started with Tom when he started doing his YouTube AT Talks, because I was a frequent flyer on that show. So it was just really nice getting on once a week with different athletic trainers, discussing topics and finding out that there are other ATs out there that thought similar to how I did, because I was starting to think I was on an island by myself. So then Tom didn't have internet at his house, so he's doing it at work. So when he was told to quarantine, that stopped. So then we were just saying how like we had nothing to really look forward to during the week. So he had me shoot out a tweet about if anyone wanted to just join a random Zoom conversation, and the DMs that I got with people wanting to sign up was overwhelming at first. Like we had like 40 people be like, yeah, I'd be interested. And the first few Zooms were a little awkward because we didn't have an unlimited account, so we were getting booted off every 40 minutes, and we were having technical difficulties. And then Mike Hopper saved the day with his unlimited account through Bishop Lynch. So then that's how the Tuesday and Thursdays started. And I was on them all the time, and I usually got off early on the earlier side, and that's when everyone else got into deeper conversation. Probably because I didn't want to be too deep. And but now as like I'm getting back into work, I'm not on the Zooms nearly as much. Like I do every 2 or 3 weeks. So sorry, my phone's being all awkward. But yeah, that's basically how the Wolfpack started.
Yeah, again, that's like I said. Go ahead, Ashley.
The what?
Were you about to say something?
Oh, nope.
Oh, sorry. That's kind of what I said. It was just, all right, hey, we need somebody to talk to, and here we go. We're working through some stuff, and then as we're talking, Ed's phone is vibrating and knocking it off the stand and stuff like that. It happens, right? But that's kind of the cool part about the Wolfpack, is nobody expects it to be a business meeting, right? You shouldn't be in a shirt and tie, and I don't know if Ed ever wears pants or anything like that, but it's really just it's really something to hang out. So I want to go back to mention some high school people. So Paul, working in a high school, having high school kids in these Zoom calls, what is your thought on that?
The first meeting I was in, there was a high school student in there who I think he's now in college. I think he's now an athletic training student. So a little more comfortable. I was feeling a little awkward about it, especially when some of the conversations came up. But it's a safe environment. Anybody can talk about anything, and we do. And the first one I left there, I was kind of like, I don't know if this is quite for me, but I'll give it another shot. And then the second one, it was much more comfortable, and it just starts to flow, and you get to learn who these people are. And there's some really good people and some really knowledgeable athletic trainers in these conversations. And like I said, we had one night, we had a session where we just talked about concussions, and we really basically should get some CEUs for that discussion. And there are other times where we've talked an hour on barbecue, and it really flows, and whoever has something to say, and we try and be inclusive and listen to what people have to say and grow off that. One night somebody just needed a vent, and she came in and just exploded, and I think she was in tears at one point because her day was so frustrating, and we were there for her just to listen to her. And there are other times where, it's a free flowing, and there's moments of silence, and we're just kind of sitting with each other, which is not a bad thing either. So, you kind of grow on it, and it grows on you.
So Josh Dawsey watching live said the Zoom meetings are like, well, Josh is in Louisiana, so it's like Forrest Gump. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Exactly.
Tanya Watson jumping in saying hi, just always supporting the podcast. So saying hi there. So thanks, Josh and Tanya, for watching live, checking it out. But obviously they're active in the Wolfpack pack as well. So we talked about how it started. How often have you seen the high school kids in there?
Since the beginning, I haven't seen any high school kids.
I was like, I haven't noticed any in probably like kind of since school started, because they're obviously busy with all of their schoolwork and doing everything. And I like someone mentioned, like one of the high school students, he actually like just went to college this year. So now he's in undergrad program, like looking to become an athletic trainer through the TCU program, I believe. So we haven't actually had, I don't think, high school students in a while, but we do have quite a few like undergrad and MAT students. So, and I think it's great for them to kind of see all of these athletic trainers that have all this experience, because they get like a real feel for what athletic training is. Like there's only so much that you learn in your education that you're prepared for in your education, but then there's, oh, these are all the other things that go along with it. Like these are, and like, yeah, we complain a lot because there's a lot of stuff in our job that like we don't enjoy. Like who enjoys doing documentation for 3 hours? I know I don't. But it's honestly like just getting a real like look into what the daily life of an athletic trainer is and the things that they may go through as they're pursuing the profession.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I'd add on to that too is we share our frustrations. We get perspectives from everyone else, which kind of grounds our emotions. But at the same time, we're getting people trying to help us through those situations as well. I've shared a few situations I was dealing with and got a lot of help afterwards. And some people are really willing to share their advice in front of the whole group, or a lot of times a lot of private conversations have come out of that. And for me, with those private conversations that have come out of developing relationships in the Wolfpack and the Zooms or on the Discord have led to really strong friendships as well. So that's one thing I would also say is you may not always get not a negative reaction, but not a positive reaction to something you say, but there will probably be someone who will reach out privately to help you through too, which is what I've really liked.
So Jen is watching live, and she said that she would be a barbecue contest judge, but I don't know that you guys can really handle a barbecue contest, because none of it. Well, Ashley is from Texas as well, and so any sort of barbecue contest with somebody outside of Texas is always like what people call the Astros now an asterisk, right? So it's a are you really eating barbecue? So Jen, I appreciate your enthusiasm, and I'd have to invite you down to Texas to have some real brisket and real barbecue, and then we'll see from there. But again,
that's a little judgmental when you haven't tasted my brisket.
I have been.
There goes Paul's BP is raising now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're right, and I'll even take that. I'll own that. I would say I'm judgmental. I've been to different parts of the country and had brisket, and I swear I went to Atlanta at a place that was recommended by barbecue people, and it was no joke. It was like pot roast. I was like, oh my God, this is disgusting. And so from there, it's like, okay, ribs. I can go somewhere and get ribs. Ribs are pretty solid. You can get anywhere, but I welcome you to come to Texas. We'll go to some of the good barbecue spots here in Houston, or in Austin is a really good place to get some really good barbecue. But again, this is following the exact trail of the ATWolfapck. Is we could be talking about something positive, productive. Hey, this has been a really cool encouragement, and it's helped me walk through some stuff. Oh yeah, hey, talking about barbecue, right? And so that was one of the other things, is you said there's been some really good solid friendships that have come through. So talk about some of the situations where you have either been helped or been able to help others walk through a situation. And Paul, why don't we start with you on this one?
you know, when we get together on a Tuesday or Thursday, it really is a free flowing conversation, and I can't think of any one instance where I helped or somebody helped me. It just in these times over the past 4 months, people coming in with anxieties, and just to be able to sit in, and there are people that come in, and there's a couple of people that I remember seeing every time I'm in there who don't say a word. They're just sitting there listening and taking in the information, and just being with other athletic trainers and being around other people, I think helps some people. And Ashley, I think you could speak to this, and I don't know if it spurred off, but the All Things AT created a membership, mentorship, and I
Mhm.
became a mentor out of that. And I don't know if that was a splinter group off of the Wolfpack, or I don't know how that became created, but I got involved with that through my involvement with the Wolfpack. So I created a mentee mentor relationship, and I've helped people that way through that mentorship program.
Yeah, so I'll speak to the All Things AT. I wouldn't necessarily call it a splinter off of the Wolfpack. It just happened to be so, like, yes, we have the Zooms, but also back in the beginning when there was only like 30 to 40 of us, we were all like in a Twitter message together. And it was funny because we were talking about the anonymous AT account and like some of the questions that were posted. And there was a group of people who were just, since there's 30 or 40 of us in this one group message, it's like, hey, well, why don't we like create kind of our own thing where like we're able to post resources for athletic trainers. And one of the big things for a lot of because there's a group of 7 of us, I believe, that kind of moderate or like we're the creators of All Things AT. And one of the big things for us is like we want to kind of create a mentorship program, and now we have over 100 mentor mentee pairings. So that's we've been able to help build some really strong relationships with that. But that did start because all of us just happened to be in the Wolfpack chat together, and we're talking about, and it's like, hey, this is would be a great idea. Why don't we start this? As far as like my personal relationships, I've definitely developed a couple friendships out of it. I wouldn't necessarily say that people like I've helped anybody who's in need or like I've been helped. Like obviously I'll come in and have my own complaint sessions about whatever. But I have been able to get a lot of really good advice because we do have some amazing athletic trainers. So like right now I'm dealing with a foot injury, and I was like, I just put it in the Discord, like, hey, this is kind of like the athlete history. Like these are things I'm looking at, like what do I need to look at? And we have a couple really good athletic like one of them, Jen, who's like a barefoot guru, and she like is amazing. And I had like 10 people commenting like, hey, make sure you look at this, make sure you look at this, try these exercises. I know that there's a couple other D1 athletic trainers on there, so I've reached out to them like, hey, what's, especially with COVID, it's like, hey, what are you guys doing for like your policy on this, or like what do you like have for this? So I've had a lot of those like individual conversations, but these were people that I wouldn't have known if we weren't in this group together.
You right there,
I'm
Ed?
sorry.
Blowing
Yeah,
up.
I'm sorry. This is why I hate my phone. Yeah, to kind of go off of that, I haven't really helped anyone, obviously, in dire situations, but I will get a lot of people who will reach out privately and just ask, like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, like, and they're looking to see if it's justifiable how they're feeling. And it's like, yes, I've experienced all those things as well. And I'm just glad that people are comfortable enough to reach out to me because they've gotten to know me either through Zooms or the Discord, which I never felt like I had before COVID. So I went almost 10 years in a career just bottling up anxieties from the profession and not having a group to reach out to. So that's why I really wanted to have something like this. Didn't think it was going to grow to the size that it is right now and could be going, but
So just a quick look
And
at
I will
the.
negate
Go ahead.
Ed's comment. Like he's helped me with a lot of things. So
Yeah.
I definitely have reached out to him and like complaining about work stuff or just complaining about things going on, and
And
you've
I
helped people, Ed.
absolutely. And I just thought of something that did help me was when all the social conversations were going on.
Mhm.
We actually had a small meeting amongst ourselves and how to deal with some of the social injustices. And I really learned a lot about how to better listen to somebody and not walk over their thoughts when they're trying to share something, to be a better listener and to be more inclusive to others when they're in need. So that is one thing I learned from our group.
So just real quick look on the Discord. There's 166 members in the Discord, and so like you're saying, there's 100 pairings between mentors. Jen just commented on the Facebook Live, and Tanya as well, about they've never felt like they've had a solid mentor, and that is absolutely something that is missing in our profession. And I know the NATA is starting an initiative where they're doing mentorship and mentor training and stuff like that. And this is just something that was born out of necessity. So it's really cool that at the same time that we, the people of athletic training, are seeing we need this, the leadership as well is seeing we need this, and kind of just taking it into our own hands and saying, hey, here's what it is. And then kind of what all three of you were saying is, don't discount the fact that you're helping. Like, so obviously with the podcast, I see this all the time. Like, people reach out like, hey, thanks. I'm like, oh, hey, you're welcome. I don't know you. I didn't know that this was impactful, that kind of way. And so just know that you being there, being honest, being open is an opportunity for somebody to connect and to grow. And don't just say, I'm just there hanging out so I can listen to people, or so I can vent. Well, then you build in that connection, and that's allowing somebody else to know that they have a free space, or you're an ear as well. So definitely don't discount that. But just like Paul said, the Wolfpack is not just people griping and venting. There's a lot of really cool, useful things that have come out of that. So, and then one of the big things that I see on, like you said, the Twitter feed, Twitter conversation it was hard to follow. And I think it's even harder to follow the general discussion in the Discord, but I think it's maybe because I don't use it. I'll get on there once or twice a week kind of thing. And so then it's like, well, there's 50 missed messages. I'm like, well, I'll just skip to the bottom. And so I probably miss a lot, but there's like a section in there that is like for athletic training parents. And obviously I talk a lot about, I have 3 biological kids and a foster daughter. So that's something there where I can definitely learn and help other athletic trainers. And then it's a closed group that is open and inclusive. And so it's pretty cool, because you can definitely find your niche. Like they said, you have Carlos and Rick and I think Larry or something like that. They're all in there in the professional sports realm. Well, they can kind of connect, but then we can connect with them. We can see some of their conversations and those kind of things. And it's pretty cool to see all these different athletic trainers and these mentors and things that come from that. So we've talked about the conversations being random. One of the conversations I see a lot is people talking about NATA. We were, obviously planning on Atlanta being a big thing, but then that didn't happen. So planning for Orlando. So some of the conversations that you guys are seeing, let's just kind of go over some of those. Again, you don't want to, I guess, share anybody's information if we didn't get consent. So don't say Tom said this, but what are some of those conversations looking like for Orlando?
That we're going to probably have 3 Airbnbs right next door. And if there's fences, we're going to take them all down and have a big backyard party with a barbecue competition. Someone will probably bring their fancy whiskey collection and teach us how to taste whiskey and hang out.
And also, like, we're basically saying it's going to be a mandatory 2-week vacation, because we're obviously going to be at NATA for 5 days. But then it's like, oh, Disney's right there, so we all need to go to Epcot and drink around the world. And we need, for anyone who hasn't been to Disney before, definitely need to go. And this is where the barbecue competitions come up too, because we're like, oh, everybody can just cook all these massive meals and we can all eat together. And it's just really exciting, because this was born out of when we started quarantining and everything. So we were kind of fenced off, and everybody was kind of on their own. And now it's we, at that point, hopefully we have a lot of us have been talking for over a year. So then it's oh my God, we're finally going to be able to see each other in person, and just have a huge party for 2 weeks. So
and that's just it. That's what I'm really looking forward to, is through the Wolfpack, I've met Ed, who's in Vermont, who I probably would have never met if it weren't for this. You got people in Utah, Texas, Florida, all over the California, all over the country, who I probably would have never met, but I now see as friends. And I'm really looking forward to being able to get together and, like Ashley said, share a meal with them and just sit down and just enjoy each other's company. And yes, we'll talk athletic training, I'm sure, because we all live athletic training. We athletic trainers can't do anything but talk about athletic training. But from that, just have a meal with each other and get to know each other's families and really bond and make better relationships is really what I'm looking forward to at that time.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, it's making me look forward to NATA. Like my undergrad class, out of 11 students, 2 of us are practicing athletic trainers still 10 years after. So it's not like I have classmates from undergrad. And then grad school, I was a very small class, and they don't go to NATA because it's too expensive for them to afford in their situations, which is unfortunate. So like when I go to NATA, it's like, okay, go to a talk, have dinner with my boss, which I love hanging out with my boss, and then go to my room for the night. And it's like, I don't feel like I enjoy the experience as much because in person, I'm not as outgoing in big crowds as I have been with the Wolfpack, because like I said, when we started, there was 10 or 15, so it was a manageable size group. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Now I don't think I'm going to get any educational experience out of it, because I'm going to get caught up in the lobby talking to whoever walks by and be like, hey, how's it going? So
Well, that's why we need the 2 weeks. We're going to do a week beforehand to be just us, and we can eat, drink, and be merry. Then we'll have our 5 days of education, and then 3 days recovery.
yeah, I'm going to have to get a permission and a contract signed by my wife approving of that.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I think we all will need to. I need to do the same.
So I've been to NATA in Houston. I went to it when it was in San Antonio, and then Houston, New Orleans, and Las Vegas. And one of the hard things for me is in Houston, New Orleans, and Las Vegas, I was doing the podcast. So in San Antonio, it's 3 hours from me, but I still like had trouble connecting with people, like finding people I knew. And the cell phones weren't as big, and social media wasn't as big back then when I first went. And so it probably was a little bit harder, but being there with 10 to 20,000 athletic trainers, it's easy to feel lost and like you're just walking around like, I don't know anybody. And even me with the podcast, like I usually wear the sports medicine broadcast t-shirt. And so people are like, oh, hey, you're that guy. I'm like, yeah. And then they just keep walking. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Sometimes people intentionally seek out and talk to me, but I think in the Discord, I think Josh Dawsey is the only person I've met in person, because we met in New Orleans at NATA because, we've interacted. And so he came up and met me. I think he's the only person in there that I've met. And so now if every Tuesday I'm seeing Ed's face, and then like I'll see him in person, like, oh, we've been friends for a year and a half, just like Ashley said. And so again, it's a really cool opportunity for you to grow and connect with athletic trainers from across the country and get to know them, so that when you do go to an event like NATA or your state event, you have that extra one person to connect to, because usually you're not going to just move around on a whole group of 160 people at one time. But if I just see Ashley, oh, hey, Ashley, where are you going? All right, and then we walk and talk for a little while. Now that event means a little bit more to me when I'm connecting with people, rather than just sitting and getting all of these lectures, which, by the end of the day, your brain is overwhelmed with. So again, I think it's a really fantastic opportunity to connect and build those relationships.
Yeah, definitely. And even like I know a lot of us have joked about like meeting up in person and like starting a little like scrapbook. Like I know we're not traveling too much, but there are a couple of people that I knew because they work in my conference. But then like Josh Dawsey lives in Louisiana, in one of the towns where like we travel to for games. So it's like, hey, Josh, like when I travel out there, like we need to grab dinner or something. Or if I ever go up to Dallas, like I'm going to hit up Mike Hopper, or just like anybody who's around. So you don't even, yeah, it does make those experiences a lot more fun. But then we're also giving, because a couple people were moving this summer for jobs. So they're like, hey, I'm traveling here. anybody who's from this area, like, what should I be doing there? So yeah, it's just like fantastic to have people from around the country too, because then you get all of that advice just being like from their geographical locations.
One of the things I think Paul mentioned earlier was the across the country perspective. And just before we started, I'm not sure if it was caught in the beginning of the live stream, was that here in Texas we have athletic periods. And a lot of places outside of Texas don't have athletic periods during the day. So that means like we have 7 periods during the school day. First, fourth, and seventh for us are athletic periods. So that means the kids are in their sport practicing during the school day. So instead of being in PE, they're in athletics. And without the social media, I wouldn't have known that. And so there's so much perspective you can gain. And then, like Paul said, whenever there's all the social injustice stuff, you get a little bit safer place than on Twitter. Because if you go on Twitter and say something like, why do Black Lives matter, then you're going to get all sorts of hate, and then you'll get one good comment and then all sorts of hate, and then one good comment, something like that. Well, here you can ask that question and say, guys, I don't really know how to ask this question, but can somebody explain this? And then you might still get some comments, maybe, but for the most part, it seems to be like a growth opportunity in the Discord or in the chat and those kind of things. And I want to, Ashley, you mentioned this, like jumping into a conversation with 20 to 40 people can be a little intimidating. So what if I am that AT that's feeling lonely and I want to jump on the Zoom call? What would you say to me to feel more comfortable with speaking up?
I mean, I think it definitely is intimidating the first time. I know that a couple people have, like, they've joined it and they'll just kind of turn off their video, turn off their mic and just kind of listen. And I know some people have done that for like their first 1 or 2 sessions. But honestly, like, just if you have a question about anything, even if it was something that happened like 10 minutes ago, like all the time we jump back to conversations that we've left because there's always more to discuss. So it's just like, take a leap of faith. Like, nobody's here to judge, like nobody judges at all. Nobody's going to, and honestly, a lot of the times we're excited when new faces join too, because it's all of a sudden it's a new person that we get to learn about and new experiences that we can learn from. So just honestly, like, you can sit back for a little bit, like that's fine. Like sometimes I do that. Like right now I work Tuesday and Thursday nights. So usually like I get off at like 9:30. So then I just listen on my way home and I don't usually say much. So you can sit back, listen, kind of get a feel for different people, because you can tell like by their voices, by inflection, by how talkative they are. You can get a feel for people by listening for a little bit before you speak up. But then honestly, like if you ever have anything to say, like just say it, or put in the chat like, hey, I'm new, like my name's so and so, and then we'll all like, oh my gosh, hello, like tell us about yourself. And then so yeah, so there's like so many ways that you can kind of like ease yourself in, but probably if you're a new person and you're joining, like someone will call out and be like, oh my gosh, you're new, like tell us a little bit about yourself, and then just kind of feel free to join into the conversation as it goes.
Yeah. And I even think the Discord helps out with that. Like if someone joins the Discord first, then you can see what other people's comments are in terms of like things they believe in, how to practice or treat things, or just their ideas on barbecue, stuff like that. It gets you a ground to connect with some people before you even get on the Zoom. So then when you do join that Zoom, it's still a little intimidating, but you at least have an idea of like, this is what this person's like, before you even get in, so it's easier to break into the Zoom sessions that way.
I've kind of found that it's a really welcoming community. Like whenever anybody logs in and enters the Zoom, it's almost like walking into Cheers, where it's, hey Norm, and everybody's saying hi. And when people leave, it's, hey, have a good night. And so everybody is recognized at some point. And I try to actively involve people that seem like they're interested and a little anxious to jump in. I'll often ask, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, Ashley, how you doing? And just throwing out, and other people are doing that as well, just to keep people involved and let each other know that we care.
So as we're talking about 166 athletic trainers in the Discord, or 20, 40 or more in the Zoom meetings, to keep this somewhat like organized or moving forward, has there been any sort of actual like structure put in place or something like that, like a social organization? Our local one has the president and vice president, those kind of things. And then what are you guys doing to kind of help keep and maintain that open atmosphere?
I'll defer to Paul and Ed on this one.
Well, like right now in the Discord, there's a group of moderators comprised of me, Ashley, Paul, Tom were the first 5 ones because and the reason we did that, we were the most consistent and since day one, pretty much. So just, and it's more just to like discuss things we're noticing and trying to figure out what kind of moves we should make as we grow, which would benefit or make the experience better for everyone. But there's no like, oh, so and so's president. We kind of wanted to avoid that because we didn't want it to develop into like a mini NATA. Was kind of how I felt. I didn't want it to be too structured because then I think that takes away from this is a social group where we are just candid, can speak our minds, and try and be as inclusive as we possibly can. So,
and the whole goal of even the moderators, because we had this discussion, the whole point was to keep it open and inclusive and all of that, and to be free flowing. The moderators are there just so if somebody does have a complaint, we can discuss it as a group and have a discussion about what to do and how to react to it. But really, it's an open forum. So as long as people are being civil to each other, I don't think anybody has a concern with what you talk about, as long as you're being civil and respectful. And that's pretty much our rule, is be respectful and civil to each other and enjoy each other's company.
Yeah. And the other thing too is we allow it. So like if someone joined the Wolfpack and they really like it and they have a friend they think would like it, they can invite them to join. So it's not like, yeah, there's a link where you can join, but it's still it's still pretty word of mouth. And like I invited some coworkers and they joined and they're a part of it in spells where they participate. But and that's the thing I like. There's so many people I wouldn't have met that I don't know because they're a friend of a friend of a friend, and now all of those people are in there and have had strong relationships develop out of that as well. So, and I think the thing too with a lot of our conversations, because we are athletic trainers, we care about taking care of people. This has also helped me in terms of my personal growth in figuring out how to help people better. So,
yeah.
So in making a comment like I did about Josh, then I obviously realized later that like I met in Las Vegas, I met Tanya, who's an active member of the Wolfpack, and then also met Kyle Rutledge, again another active member of the Wolfpack. So it's pretty cool just to see those people that I've interacted with social media and then get to know them a little bit more. I'm sure there's more, but because of the podcast, there's a lot of people where I'm either interviewing somebody and then I jump off and talk to somebody or take some pictures with somebody, always doing something there. I'm very busy, but I apologize to anybody listening that has met me in person that was part of that. I will promise it wasn't intentional. It's just this podcast. Normally what I do when I'm doing the podcast is I'm taking notes so that whenever I go to make the post, it's super easy, but I haven't typed in a single thing in the notes because the conversation is different. Like it's a free flowing, moving, bouncing conversation. And so it's going to be a little bit harder. But again, that's kind of the idea with the Wolfpack. It's free flowing, it's moving. It's about a conversation and not about an agenda. I know like Matt made the Wolfpack stickers and then Tom had the Wolfpack t-shirts, which he was going to send me one, but he got sold out just before I could get to it. So I could put it back up here on my wall. Any concerns you guys have about the Wolfpack or maybe where it's headed? Anything that seems to have bothered you?
My main concern is that we're going to be seen as an exclusive group where people on the outside might not fully understand, but like a lot of us will tag with the hashtag ATWolfapck, and some people refer to us as the cool kids group and putting us on a certain pedestal that I don't think any of us believe we are on. So I think just that kind of I can't even think of the word now, but that belief that we are something bigger than we actually are. So
The only concern, the other concern that I would have, I agree with Ed with that comment, and other people's perception, but there's an intimacy in the group, and sometimes when you get too big, you lose a little bit of that intimacy. So I hope that doesn't happen. I'm hoping we can stay close and be able to thrive off each other. But beyond that, it's just so inclusive and so open that it's really comfortable sitting down on a Tuesday or Thursday night and just chatting or just listening.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with the things that both of them said. I think just the hardest thing that we've tried to kind of navigate is this started as a group of 20 to 30 of us, and now all of a sudden there's 160 of us. So some people can definitely feel nervous about saying something, especially if it could be perceived as oh my God, I just lost the word.
exclusive.
No, not controversial. But like we've said before, like there's always someone who's going to kind of have the same beliefs that you do, or if you're willing to, and I think a lot of this has been a lot of growth because especially when all the social injustice stuff happened, like it was really eye-opening to me because we do have a few Black members of the Wolfpack who are athletic trainers. And even just I've seen posts from them like, oh, I'm the first Black athletic trainer that like I've ever met because like I didn't have any. And just being able to have conversations with them and listen to what their experiences have been. And it like really forced me to grow up as a person. So I think that that's probably my biggest thing is honestly like just be willing to grow because a lot of the times you're going to learn so many things that you never even knew that you didn't know. So yeah, that's what I would say.
All right. That's just about all the questions that I have. I mean, if there's something else you guys wanted to chat about real quick, we can. I know Ashley has her links. Actually, I have links for everybody on their Twitter on the show notes, so I'll have those with the post. Ash tapes ankles. Paul is Oakton HSATP. Thomas J Barkowski, and then Ed was ATC. But I'll have links to those, and you probably already connected with one of them, or at least me, and then usually it's pretty easy to search on there. So, Ed, you look like you're about to say something. Did you have something else?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm very open with personal experiences, personal struggles. And the reason I do that is I think there's a lot of athletic trainers out there that we just hide what we're feeling inside with anxieties of how we are as professionals and feeling inadequate for certain reasons. And the reason I'm like that is it's helped me to connect to many other athletic trainers because in the Wolfpack, some of those private conversations that have come out have been a lot about that and just helping each other get through those feelings and learning that we are good enough as who we are. Like, yes, we can always be better, but we're not as bad as we think we are inside. So, yeah, I'm never afraid to ask those questions to other people if they're trying to like figure out the question, and I'll help them along with that. And it's really helped me as a mentor because like I said, in my 20s, I didn't think I had a mentor. And I think that as a young professional, that is a very key time to have a mentor. Just because with undergrad, yeah, you have your advisor, you have your preceptors, and then you go out and then it's like figure everything out, and everyone feels like they have to know everything. And so I really try and connect to those mid to low 20-year-olds in the profession to be like, you are going to struggle and that it's okay. So That's all I have.
So just like Paul was mentioning, sometimes there's some awkward silence. That's okay. We got some awkward silence. So,
But yeah, and to go back, I think the late night Zooms that Tom talks about, those are the really in-depth, like constructive conversations about the profession where things just kind of click and get really serious. So I think those were what the late night. But like I said, I'm never on for those. I'm the lighthearted guy, and as soon as
we talk about serious things like earlier too. It's just sometimes sometimes it can just get more comfortable because like I know, especially during the summer, I was one of those that was always up until like 1 or 2 o'clock on the Zooms. And sometimes that was just because like there's only 4 people in there. So sometimes you do feel more comfortable discussing like the state of the athletic training profession and what are we thinking about, like all these different topics that can be more comfortable to talk in smaller settings. But yeah, so as someone who is a frequent flyer on the late night, sometimes we do stay up until 1 or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. But like you can join, like that's the beauty of the Zooms too, is like you can join for 10 minutes just to say hi. I know people have done that. Like they'll hop in on their way home from work, or sometimes they'll stay for a couple hours. And then always, if you can't make the Zooms, then hop into the Discord. And like Jeremy was kind of talking about earlier, we have like different like mini groups that you can like just look through all the topics. Like we have a thread that's all about our pets. So we like all share our pet posts. And then there's specific ones about athletic training topics such as concussions or rehab, or we have an entire like channel dedicated to COVID, so, like what our COVID policies, or like what are things that we're doing to try and improve the way that we're navigating this pandemic as a healthcare professional. So yeah, like there's literally something for everybody. Like no matter who you are, no matter how, like anything that's going on, there's something for you that you will be able to jump into.
I'm just a little bitter because I'm the old guy on the East Coast, and these really good conversations that go on later at night are actually like mid-evening for the West Coast and Central. Us on the East Coast, that's late night. It's past my bedtime, you know. And got to get up early, and it's just rough. I'm bitter about it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I can't stay up that late. I got to get up early, go to work. I got the kids, so yeah. But I still benefit from hopping in. I'm, like Ashley said, and one of those guys that'll just pop in, say hi, and it is like Paul was saying, like, hey, Jeremy, and then they go on. You know, it's not like everybody has to stop and wait for me to introduce myself. Just say, hey, Jeremy. All right, see you later, Jeremy. You know, it's all right, cool. You know, sometimes they ask me questions. One time, I just finished running, and I'd hopped on, and Alejandra had said something to me, and so I turned on my camera so I could respond, and I forgot, like I was shirtless because I just finished running, and so then like they kept talking about, well, Jeremy's hopping on here half naked or something. I'm like, no, I just finished running. I was shirtless because I wanted to respond to the thing in camera, and you know, and even at that, it wasn't a big deal, but you know, it's just.
We give people a hard time all the time. But...
Yeah. So you know,
all in love.
If you're worried about making a fool of yourself, then know that I've been on there like half shirtless or half naked, whatever it is, and people are giving me a hard time. So at least you can be one step above me on that. So don't be afraid to jump in. So, Paul, anybody have any more parting thoughts there?
I'll say like Ashley said, we give each other a hard time, but it's not a love, it's a family. I think most of us would agree that athletic training really is a family. You have your own family tree, but you form new relationships, new friendships, and they become part of your family tree, and it just keeps growing and blossoming. And like most families, if you're not giving somebody a hard time, you don't like them. So if you're not getting a hard time from somebody in the Wolfpack, then you might want to be a little concerned. But you know, it's all meant out of love, and it's a family dynamic, and we just enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, and there's never sarcasm.
No.
So Tanya obviously remembers.
And just remember, with there being 160 members, like you're gonna find someone that you niche with, and that's kind of the beauty of it being such a big group. So don't be afraid to Like nobody is different from every single person in there. Like you will have something in common with someone, you will mesh with someone. So yeah.
So Tanya mentioned there's more than one time where I've done that. One time I was using the massage gun, the Compex massage gun on my son, and I forgot to turn my microphone off. And so I was using that there, and I think I was laying like shirtless with the baby on my chest because the skin to skin contact with the baby.
That.
So more than once, I have had embarrassing moments on the Zoom call of the ATWolfapck, and they haven't kicked me out yet. So I promise you'll survive whatever mishap you have. You can make it because I've already had like 3 or 4. So they mentioned being in Orlando, going to NATA. So if you want to go be part of the Wolfpack, just join the Wolfpack there. But you can also, if you want to save some money, go to physicaltherapy.com/one free course. And then you can get started there for free. You can get your CEUs knocked out of the way so you can make your 2-week vacation into 1 week, right? You could just be there for the party and then go home during an ATA because some people complain about the price of that. I think it's a fantastic opportunity, but hey, if you got to get your CEUs out of the way, go party up with the ATWolfapck and then go home, then that's at least one way you can save there. There's a code for MedBridge too that I'll have on the website, but physicaltherapy.com/one free course, and that's the number 1, and then the words FREECOURSE. Yeah. So for Jeremy Jackson, the ATWolfapck, again, this is sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/ATWolfapck, all one word, ATWolfapck. If you wanted to join, sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/join the Wolfpack. Wait, did I say join the Wolfpack or join the ATWolfapck? I got to go all the way back up. Okay, sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/join the Wolfpack. If you want to join the Discord, which will give you access to the Zoom links and things like that. And again, great opportunity for growth. So for Jeremy, Tom was supposed to be here, Ed, Ashley, Paul, and the Sports Medicine Broadcast. That is a wrap. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.